Hello and welcome. This is Jonathan Viero from Team Lake Arrowhead and Corcoran Global Living in the Lake Arrowhead area. You're watching the 2022 quarterly market report specifically for the Cedar Ridge community. We're going to cover in today's video the quarter number 2 statistics just for this community. If you're a homeowner in the Cedar Ridge community, this video is for you. We're going to be going over some things that you might be curious about, whether you should be selling your home this year, how the interest rates are going to affect Cedar Ridge, is the market going to crash this year, if you do sell, is this the right time, and many more things. So the best way I can give you guys advice about the Cedar Ridge community is looking at some average sales prices and different statistics that I can pull every quarter and just see how they change over time. If you guys have any questions about anything I say, feel free to comment in the section below any of your questions, or you can contact me directly and I'm happy to answer those for you. So let's take a look at the most valuable real estate statistic that I can have, or that we have for the Cedar Ridge community, and that's the average sales price. So since there's a lot of different homes in the Cedar Ridge community, I have to run this average off of the most typical home in Cedar Ridge, and that's a 5,000 square foot house that's a 5-bedroom. So, and those homes on average year to date are selling for 1.817, and that's actually the highest recorded in historical sale price for the Cedar Ridge community. So we're at all-time highs. And this also applies to homes that are below, less size, less bedrooms, and also above. So we're at, on average for this community, at the highest average sales price historically. These homes are selling for 75 days on market, which is actually dropped from last year and is at also the record low from this community. Homes are selling about 3 times faster than usual for Cedar Ridge. And this can be explained by a lack of inventory, plus the prices increased in 2020 and 2021. So now we're left with this kind of aftermarket, or, we don't know if it's after, but, from that event, we're coming into this different kind of market where we have low inventory, still high buyer demand, and the homes that have been sitting on the market for days and days have already sold. So we have fresh comps, fresh new listings coming on the market. The average price per square foot in Cedar Ridge right now is $334. And again, this is for the typical home in Cedar Ridge. So if your home is nicer than this home or less nice, then it will vary. But again, most of the homes in Cedar Ridge are also really large. So the average price per foot will be lower than some of the other communities in Lake Arrowhead. The highest price per foot home that was sold was actually sold at $473 per foot, and that was at 29025 Big Cedar Cove. It's a beautiful home, and that home raised a lot of the comps in the area. The list price to sales price ratio for Cedar Ridge is actually at 96%, and that is also a record high ratio for the Cedar Ridge community. So that means homes are being bought or at just slightly below asking price, which is a record, is new for Cedar Ridge. Most of the time in past history, homes have been sitting on the market at high prices and they come down and down and down, and then they get sold, whereas now we list a house and within a couple months they sell, which is really good news for the market in real estate in Cedar Ridge. So here are my predictions for the Cedar Ridge Estates community. The mortgage interest rates will affect Lake Arrowhead, but not as much as you'd think. So it will affect affordability for people who are using loans, of course. Some consumers might not become interested in the market, so there might be less buyer demand, which means more homes will take longer to sell, more homes will be on the market, and this will actually affect more of the middle market. And that is because a lot of purchasers and consumers up here purchase with cash or 1031 exchanges, or at least a lot of equity. Plus, they're more than likely, in order to afford a second home, they more than likely have better access to financing, more creative financing as well, and they have enough money to afford a second home. So the strength of that market means that it's a little bit insulated from these interest rates more than, let's say, LA or San Diego. The Federal Reserve will likely to continue to increase these rates, as they've told us. They want to slow down the rate of inflation and bring back kind of a balance in the market. They said this was a temporary thing and that they were going to lower interest rates post this rate hike. So we don't know when that is or how fast or how high they're going to go. But I also think that once they lower the rates again, back down to 4, 3, whatever they decide, it's going to be followed by a really rapid growth in the market. So I think this is a short-term thing that's going to affect Lake Arrowhead, but we're going to return back to a great increase in prices gradually over the next couple of years. And that goes into my next point. Home values in this community are going to continue to increase for at least the next few years. They might slow down, so they might not increase as fast as we've seen, but they will continue to increase. And that's because we've seen an incredible amount of attention from people in LA and San Diego coming up looking for a vacation home that's away from the city, something more peaceful, something relaxing like in Cedar Ridge. And those pandemic lockdowns really brought a crazy amount of awareness to the mountain communities. And that buyer demand will not go away. We have been put on the map, is what I say. So that high amount of demand that we're seeing will really bring a lot more insulation from this interest rate hike, and home values will more than likely continue to go up because of that demand. So realistically, it just depends on how the inventory stays. If all of a sudden a lot of inventory comes to the market and the buyers can't keep up with it, then prices will go down. And this also depends on the discretionary spending of our target buyer pool. So if the stock market does go into a contraction and these affluent people don't have as much money to spend on a vacation home, then our buyer pool will get affected and your home's value will get affected. So those are the two variables that I really look at. So the next question is, should you be selling your home in Cedar Ridge? And I would say if you need to sell in the next few years, I would do it this summer, because I can't guarantee you how it's gonna look next year or the following after because of these interest rates changes in the stock market, and who knows what happens. But what I can tell you right now is that we have low inventory rates, we have a great buyer pool for this quarter, and this summer obviously is a hot time to sell. And all of this means just that you gotta ask yourself, is it better for you to sell now and get top dollar in this market, or wait and potentially get more for your home, or also take the risk of getting lower for your home? So if your answer, whatever your answer is, that would be if you would sell right now or later. So here are my market predictions for the quarter of 2022, quarter two. I think prices are going to increase over the next 12 months in Lake Arrowhead, just at a slower pace than the previous 2 years. The major variables that we're going to watch are the local inventory levels, the interest rates, and the buyer demand. If interest rates increase our local inventory, then we'll see homes taking longer to sell, and the probability of getting a bidding war or top dollar will decrease. The stock market will likely have a small contraction due to these interest rates and the inflation rate. But that just means that more people will probably run from the stock market and put it actually back into real estate. So I do think that after these interest rates drop, that will be followed with a period of about 5 years of just great growth, and we'll continue this real estate boom. For the end of this quarterly market report, I'm going to go over some of the things that are going on outside of Cedar Ridge, so that way we can see kind of the macro. The micro is Cedar Ridge. Okay. So in Lake Arrowhead particularly, we're at a record high sales price. In Lake Arrowhead Woods, we're almost at 1.1 on an average sales price, which is insane. And again, this is this quarter. So it's a year to date from this quarter. So from last summer till now, on average, we're about 1.1. And that alone tells me we're in a really strong market and it's going to continue to go up. Obviously, these new 30-year fixed rate mortgage interest rates are going up, and that's a nationwide thing, but our small little Lake Arrowhead pool will not be really as affected because we haven't seen that happen yet. The only thing that we've seen happen in Lake Arrowhead is that pendings are going down. So homes will just be sitting on the market more, but they're still selling. So also another statistic that's going on in the United States is that we're at a record low amount of foreclosures being filed. So people are more than likely coming back to their jobs. The unemployment's going down. We're coming back from this, I wouldn't say it's a recession, but a really weird time of the pandemic. And people are coming back to the city. A lot of inventories, a lot of jobs are being filled, and the economy is coming back. Another really interesting thing about today's market is from the pandemic, when we had a lot of these affluent buyers down in the cities that were in lockdown, and they came to Lake Tahoe, Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead, and they wanted to buy something out of the city so that way they can run away from the city madness. So, and this is a global thing that went on. These mountain resort communities just lit on fire, which we saw in 2020 and 2021, and that's across the globe. So these mountain resort communities in Switzerland, all over the United States, Canada, these mega wealthy people were just flooding the city and coming to the mountain resort communities. So we saw that. And we're hoping that they don't actually continue, come back and go to the city and then they sell their homes up here. Because that amount of money, those homes prices, increasing, it really brings a lot of dynamicness to the market, having that high end of an affluent buyer up here. So that's some good news that we have these uber wealthy people coming up to the mountain, and that's really important. So that wraps up this quarter market report. Thanks again for watching. I hope you found this valuable. Again, you can get this content via email, mail, or you could watch this video, of course. If you have any questions, again, feel free to contact me directly or comment below. If you would like more information regarding the Lake Arrowhead real estate market or anything else, again, I sell real estate up here in Lake Arrowhead, so I'm happy to help you out. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I have a lot of great content that covers, real estate content, market updates, new listings, gated community things, and content specifically for the luxury market. So don't forget to browse through those pages and take a look at those things that I'm posting. So that's it for me today. Thank you again for watching. This is Jonathan Viero with Team Lake Arrowhead and Corcoran Global Living.